This is Jonathan Ferguson, the Keeper of Firearms and Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And this week he's taking a look at Lara's remastered weapons from the original Tomb Raider trilogy.
It's not a bad effort for an M16. Oh, that's a bad effort for an M16. Maybe not for 1996, but yeah, they've done a great job improving that.
Make sure to subscribe for more content like this. Next week we'll be taking another look at the weaponry of Helldivers 2, so definitely make sure to check that out. And if there are any other games you'd like to see Jonathan look at, make sure to put your thoughts in the comments section down below. Right, let's take a look at the weapons of Tomb Raider.
Classic Lara with her enormous holsters. They are very large for this fairly normal size, well, full-sized service pistol, if you like. The Browning, the high power, the HP-35, the GP-35. Tons of detail on these, considering the game that we're talking about here. Whoa, and then we're back in time to the original version, where, to be fair, there is easily enough detail to say that this is a Browning high power, because they've mapped little textures onto the guns, but they're so hilariously blocky. We have insane amounts of recoil for what are just 9mm pistols. Now we are doing the akimbo thing, which, as we've seen on loadout, is quite a handful, and there's always more recoil, sort of evident recoil as it were, with one hand than there is with two. But that whole doing that thing is, again, even at the time I thought was a bit weird. Not ideal for engaging dinosaurs with. You'd have to put at least this many bullets into a T-Rex to inconvenience it in any way. Incidentally, the finish. So this is a standard commercial Mark II high power made by FN, and it's that nice shiny blued finish. The guns in the game are grey, and I don't know why they're grey. Now I've got you covered. So we have a pair of satin stainless high powers with gold triggers, no less. They, more than anything else, look like about the right colour to the guns in the game. I think they were just going for a generic sort of gun metal, not gun metal, but gun coloured metal. Yeah, so credit to the original designers of the game for making it look anything like a high power, just with textures alone, and lots of credit to the HD remaster people for making those look like something out of a modern game, even though the base game is the same. Super short pump action there. Maybe a 3-round magazine on that. Maybe a Mossberg. Whoa! And back in time we go. No trigger guard, no trigger, just like all the other guns. All the guns made out of essentially 2 boxes stuck together. Yeah, that's looking pretty rough. And no functionality for any of the controls, of course. But, you know, her hand isn't much better. So, I mean, that really is like night and day, isn't it? And Lara looks quite happy that her gun is more realistic. She's got fingers. It's got a trigger. Her finger is on that trigger. And, of course, with the old game, we get mirrored textures as well. So it has ejection ports on both sides.
I forgot that you never ever reload at this game.
Yeah, good point. And you'd expect me to complain about that, but if the gunplay was good, it wouldn't even necessarily trouble me. But again, vast improvement in every respect. Sound effects not nearly as improved as the visuals, of course, but considering how much recoil the pistols have, it's a little weird that the shotgun doesn't really recoil back and up at all. It just she kind of throws it to the side for recocking, but there's no real sense of recoil. Definitely a sense of increased power, of course, because she's dropping those poor lions quite easily. Never a fan of all of the animal shooting in this game, but there we are. Okay, nice action shot there. Pair of very nicely rendered MAC-10s, Ingram Model 10s, to give them their slightly more correct name. A weird quirk, though, is they have been custom made for Lara, seemingly, because she has ejection ports on the left and right side. Now, I know why they've done that. They've done that because in the game it ejects casings left and right for presumably aesthetic reasons. I mean, having said that, they could have changed that, I'm sure. While I'm talking, here is an Ingram, and this is that traditional sliding buttstock, which is now represented on the gun. In the original game, effectively, we had this. We had the stock removed because of the limitations of the graphics. But we do now have it on there, pointlessly, adding weight for no reason, because Lara doesn't use them. We do, in fact, have the cocking handle to the rear and the ejection port open, which is nice. What we don't have, which is surprising considering the level of detail, is any cocking handle slot at all. The cocking handle is just sat in the middle of a sheet of steel, unable to move, which means that these wouldn't work, which is a bit weird.
They were called, and still are called in the remaster, Uzis, despite now
Are they?
obviously not Uzis.
That's so weird.
Seems like the first game just used Uzis or Uzi as just a swap out for SMG.
Yeah, well, it was wrong then, and it's even more wrong now that we can clearly see that these are Ingrams. Again, even the blocky version from the 90s, there's enough detail just to be able to say that's an Ingram, not an Uzi, which is a bit, yeah, they should have got the name right then, and they definitely should have now. My nostalgia is not going to be hurt by renaming the gun what it actually is. And a last point on these not Uzis is the magazine. Whether it's the 45, the Sten pattern 45 mag, or it's the Tech 9-esque 9mm mag, they are solid body. They do not have any sort of witness holes in the sides. They certainly don't have them going all the way to the tip of the mag like that, base of the mag, I should say, with bullets all the way down. In a real magazine is not bullets all the way down. There's a big old spring compressed in here with a follower pushing up your stack of ammunition. So they've carried over that sort of misunderstanding from the 90s of how magazines work. And it's not even a carryover because that texture is not evident on the 90s gun. So I don't know why they've suddenly made the magazines open and full of bullets. That's a really odd design choice when they've done such a good job making them look like slightly cartoon, but pretty accurate Ingrams. Very strange little guns, these. So we have one here. Different. Ours has this straight-edged magazine well. The guns in the game have an angled magazine well. The only ones I've ever seen look like this, so I don't know if that's a departure. Basic design is there, though. We have this. This is actually a sheet metal top cover here. You've got the funny little, well, Scorpion-esque cocking handles. They have modelled on the new version the sliding safety as well. Oh, and the threaded muzzle protector, because you know you want a suppressor on your 22 long rifle semi-automatic pistol, which is what this is. It's not a machine pistol as depicted in the game. The mags are weird as well. So the standard 1022 Ruger 1022 rifle mag, this little rotary 10 rounder that fits fully flush into the magwell, is one option. Or you have the long curved ramline mags. I don't know what this is trying to represent, whether it reflects any reality or not. And then we're shooting up spiders with them. Now, as this is 22 long rifle, shooting large spiders with it is probably the best use. It's not going to be much use against a T-Rex, I'll tell you that much. Very strange looking magazine on that AR-15 M16, which makes me think that that Intratec magwell is definitely not a real version. Really weird angle on that. It's not a bad effort for an M16. Oh, that's a bad effort for an M16. Maybe not for 1996, but yeah, they've done a great job improving that. Seemingly they were limited in the magazine, the lower receiver area for some reason, because they haven't been able to fix that. They've put a 3-prong flash hider on it, a very modern looking 3-prong flash hider. Quite a nice classic star muzzle flash pattern there. She's not aiming with the sights. She just kind of inserted it into her chest, rather worryingly. Rate of fire seems about right. Best I can say for this one.
I'd forgot it was even in the original Tomb Raiders. It's not. I don't even think like rifles in general are guns that I associate with the Tomb Raider franchise.
No, I must admit, playing Shadow, I thought, oh, we've got rifles now. I didn't. I never got far enough in the original games to know that there were, in fact, rifles in the original games. The only real deal breaker there is that weird angled magazine well, and therefore magazine. This is our spear gun. So we have an air tank underneath. I don't know much about spear guns, but it seems moderately realistic. They have that sort of anodized finish on the body there. Probably looks about as plausible as a spear gun as a lot of not very good firearms do to people who don't obsess about firearms like me. However, what I do know about spear guns is that they don't shoot bursts or semi-automatically. You get one shot with a spear gun and you have to reload it, even with an air tank like that or a CO2 capability. So a clear gameplay concession there to be able to shoot multiple spears. So these things either use a compressed air or they use very powerful elastic bands to do the thing that they do. Guess you could use them to defend yourself against a killer shark.
Just realised she reloads this thing, so my comment about you never reloading this game.
That's really weird. Yeah, good point. So we don't have any firearm reloads, but the spear gun, which cannot be reloaded with multiple shots, gets reloaded with multiple shots. What is that? Some sort of single shot grenade launcher by the look of it, with a weird pump grip on the bottom of it. Ah, of course, it's one of those. Not sure what they were going for there. Fair play to them. They've tried to represent something that looks vaguely realistic out of a black blob, which is what it was originally. I think they've probably looked up one of these handheld single shot flare launchers or whatever. Makes me wonder what the original developers were modeling their pistol grenade launcher from. So she reloads this as well. Good sound effects. We've got the bloop, the loading bloop, and the launching bloop, which are different. Ah, I think that was an eagle that just got... Yeah, we're just blowing golden eagles into chunks. You deserve that, Lara.
I remember when the most recent remakes came out, people were talking about the cognitive dissonance between Lara's attitude, and then she suddenly starts killing people. She seems wholly unfazed to be blowing dudes into pieces with a grenade launcher in these ones.
Yeah, at least they had to be a bit upset, I gather, in the first of the reboots. I mean, to be fair, they're supposed to be like almost prequels, aren't they? Or like early in her career. So by this point, she's basically a psychopath. Oh, I mean, to be fair, given the graphical limitations, that's pretty good. The improvement is a major improvement. I don't like that sight riser. That's about 30 feet above the gun. It's a very odd choice. Why the red stripes down the side as well? In that respect, the original model is more correct. Weird, almost minigun-like sound effect to that, and it doesn't sound very quiet considering it's the SD. It's like they've taken the model for the SD but kept it unsuppressed, which I guess is what Half-Life did as well, around the same time. The remaster had every opportunity to improve the sound or mess with it to make it sound more suppressed. It's not the worst MP5 I've seen, but considering it's the SD, it seems like a major oversight to have it be just like a normal sound. At least that very tall sight mount does allow Lara's terrible shooting position to work, because her head's always so far above the guns that in this case the sight actually lines up with her eye. I suspect that's why it's been designed that way, to make it look vaguely like she knows what she's doing. I'm not even sure the original Desert Eagle is very Desert Eagle-y. It looks more like a giant 1911. You definitely get the impression of a powerful Magnum pistol, but... Oh, okay, I see. I take it back. The close-up. So we have the same situation where there are almost no polygons, but we do have a texture that's clearly based on the Desert Eagle. The revamped Deagle is the current shortened, lightened, ported version of the Desert Eagle. I think, is it the L1? I think, which raises the question: is this game now set in the present day? Because everything else about it would seem to suggest it's still the 90s. I'm not sure why they chose that. It's more effort to model that modernized Desert Eagle than if they'd just gone with a classic Mark 9 or whatever. But another huge improvement, needless to say. Interesting. So it looks like we've gone from a representation of a small, I think, although it's very small, to something more like a Carl Gustav in the remaster, but it's still tiny. It's absolutely tiny on her shoulder, whatever it's supposed to be. You can tell that because it's the rockets coming out, or the warheads, whatever it's supposed to be. They are rockets in this, are huge. And they're far too big to exist within the body of that weapon. Really strange how small the rocket launcher is in this game. Much better, again, much more detail, albeit they've changed the design completely, and it's less similar. I think it is based on a Carl Gustav, but it's less similar to the real world weapon it's based on than any of the pistols. Of course, the reloads are completely fudged on this. She seems to be muzzle loading these weapons. Back blast is a thing, and also front blast, which I think you'd be annihilated by the front blast there, or just blast. I think there's a reason why people don't use the word that I've just invented. The original Tomb Raider games are not games I got into at all seriously, but going back and looking at this is a really pivotal era in graphics, of course, and seeing what the best they could do versus what they can do now with same engine, I guess, is really, really cool. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do check out our Royal Armouries YouTube channel, socials, the website. Appreciate you watching, guys. We'll see you again next week.